I want to talk about AJ Dillon, a player who I was very high on, heading into this most recent season. I thought that he was going to be kind of take the next step and show himself as an elite running back, and that didn't exactly happen. You look at his box score statistics, and in 2020, in just 46 attempts, he had over 5 yards per carry. So, okay, showed some flashes in a relatively small sample size. And then in 2021, the sample size got significantly bigger, and he still performed very well. Again, you knew the yards per carry was going to drop, but still 4.3, you'll take that. And I actually thought that the tape was a lot better than the box score stats would indicate. I believe Pro Football Focus had him as one of their higher rated players. He really looked like, a lot of advanced stats really favored him. And again, my just film watching of him was very, I was very impressed as well. So I really felt like, okay, now that they're kind of running the offense through the running game, he could kind of take that next step and become an elite player potentially. However, you see that last year his yards per carry dropped. It went to 4.1, and a lot of his advanced stats weren't quite as good as well. Had basically the exact same volume, only a one snap difference from 2021 to 2022. So what went wrong last year? Why wasn't he as good? Or maybe was he as good and just some of the stats aren't as impressive? Well, let's get into it. So first, let's start off with this play. I think there's no denying that he just didn't have as much room last year. And I think a big part of it is, and not necessarily saying on this play, because this is goal line situation anyway, inside the 5, but just in general, I think a key thing that teams had to do when defending AJ Dillon, at least last year, was also make sure they're defending against Aaron Rodgers and the passing game, right? That's a key thing you have to make sure that you're doing. However, this past year, the passing game was nowhere near as strong, and therefore you didn't have to fear it as much. Like on a play like this, there's several guys I could point out. I'll point out number 96, though. He's going to do the best job here. Watch him come in, and he really is in position to where, for AJ Dillon, what do? You have a guy right in your face, and there's not like a clear running lane somewhere else if he wanted to go there. He's just in trouble. Dillon runs right into him, tries to do what he can, but there wasn't any room, and that was definitely something that happened a lot more, I thought, with Green Bay last year than in previous years. So, the fact that that is a thing is definitely, tough for a running back. At the end of the day, running backs can only do this, as well as the situation they're in. And if you're someone like AJ Dillon, who wasn't in as good of a situation last year, it makes sense that you're not going to look as good. Like this play is going to be another example. It's going to be the player to watch this time for the Detroit Lions is going to actually be number 94, the interior defensive lineman. He's going to be the guy who's going to probably do the best job on this play of disrupting it. Watch. As you see, right when this play begins, Dillon very quickly is in trouble and has to try and make something happen. And one of the issues is, even if he does break this tackle, watch, another Detroit Lion player was right there, and he's able to come over and make that play. So for Dillon, I just don't think there's any running back who's going to be successful on those two plays. Now, those are just two plays, though. Like at the end of the day, obviously, if you're a running back, even if you're in a great situation, there's going to be plays where you can't do much, and there's going to be, plays where you can do a lot, right? No matter what situation you're in, you're going to have good and you're going to have bad, and you're going to have, sort of combinations of the two. Well, one thing I thought Dillon actually did a pretty good job of was making the most out of certain bad opportunities. So first, let's go over here. This is going to be against the Buffalo Bills, and his running lane is initially going to be sort of almost right up the middle, just a little bit to the left side of the screen of the center. Watch how when this play begins, he looks over in that direction, but I think he spots that there's an interior defensive lineman for Buffalo who's kind of trying to get over on that side of the field, clog up that running lane, and Dillon notices this. So instead, he sidesteps and is able to get to the next level. He's able to get to the linebacker. So hey, good job. You were able to get to this point. I would consider that already a win. But I watch him keep his head down and just fall forward and pick up several more yards after that fact. And that's what AJ Dillon, when he's at his best, can do, is really just get in good situations like that. If you can find ways to, again, turn maybe a 1-yard gain into a 5-yard gain, it doesn't sound like a ton, but those things really do add up over time. And I think that's definitely very important for AJ, for the Packers is what AJ Dillon can do. So I do think he still added some value last year. And he definitely showed flashes of greatness as well. Maybe not as much as he showed in previous years, but there definitely were still those flashes, and no play is a better example than this one, in my opinion. So the first player to keep note of is going to be the edge rusher all the way towards the right side of the screen. That's really the guy who I would pay the most attention to. Watch what he's going to do. Look, as you see, he gets blocked a little bit, and usually he's blocked out of the way, but maybe has a chance to lunge over and tackle AJ Dillon. You also just can see there's a wide open gap for Dillon to run through. He realizes this right now, and he's going to try and get through it. As you see, he eludes that edge rusher and does get up to the next level, and this is also where, I think a lot of times people sort of say, you're only as good as your offensive line. And that's in a lot of ways true. I mean, at the end of the day, he's here because the offensive line on this play did a very good job blocking for him. I mean, he did a little bit to avoid the edge rusher, but for the most part, this was a well-blocked play. But this is really where the difference between a good running back and a great running back, where their value comes in my opinion, is if you can turn these good plays into great ones. Watch him just sidestep the safety like that, and he nearly, if it wasn't for a great hustle play by, I believe that was Matt Milano there, that could have been a touchdown. And being able to turn those, again, 10-yard gain into a 20-yard gain, and a lot of times that's, there's even more than that. A lot of times those can be, turning 20-yard gains into 70-yard gains and stuff like that. If you can do that, I mean, there's just so much value in it. And one of the things I think I like about Dillon too is something like this, where he doesn't try to do too much. While he does have that home run hitting ability, that's not really what he's trying to do. Where like this play is a good example. Watch how Rodgers gives Dillon the ball, and right here, this is the running lane. This is his assignment where he's supposed to go. There isn't like a ton of room right here, and a lot of guys maybe would try to figure out something else, try to bounce things to the outside. That's not Dillon's game. Again, he just lowers the shoulder, moves forward, and keeps those legs moving, that he's still able to, pick up a few more yards, and he's not easy to get brought down there. That's just really good stuff from AJ Dillon, and really great stuff from AJ Dillon. And these are kind of things he can still do. So is AJ Dillon still good? I think so. I think he was in a tougher situation last year, made the most of what he could. I wouldn't hold it against him too much. I still think he's a very effective player, but that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.